So last night I had a girly night with my friends Cheryl and Tracy and Chloe, and we went for dinner and then to the cinema to see the Barbie movie. I absolutely flippin' loved it. I will hear no questions at this time. I know, like, somebody put on Facebook this morning, someone who I'm friends with was like, I will never go and see the Barbie movie. I just think, it's a film. It can't hurt you. It's not going to make you less of a man. And the mere idea that you think it might is kind of why you should go and see it, because it has a lot to say about that. But it did get me thinking, because as a child, I was Barbie obsessed. I was one of those girls who had several dolls, and I can't remember if I had a proper dream house or a sort of off-brand type house, and I had a camper van, and I just absolutely loved playing with all of my dolls. I had, I believe, one Ken. I also had a Paul, because I had one Cindy doll. I'm doing this a lot. I'm sorry, I look like I'm conducting Barbie. Anyway, yes, I had one Paul doll, one Cindy doll, who became like weird Barbie because my sister and I decided to try and give her a Princess Diana cut. Didn't go great. And a lot of my Barbies did go through a lot. They're probably very battle scarred, if they exist still, and maybe they are up in the loft, I'm not entirely sure. But if they exist, they are still very battle scarred, because my sister was more into Action Man, and she would quite frequently throw my Barbies out of the window and be like, there's been a terrible accident! And I'd run down to the garden and find my Barbie like covered in ketchup or lipstick or something, and she'd be like, she's bleeding! So yeah, that happened. But this whole thing got me thinking about what were my favourite childhood toys. And definitely Barbie is on the list. Barbie was so important to me as a kid that when I had my 18th birthday and became a legal adult, my sister bought me a Barbie to celebrate the death of my childhood. And here she is. She's a little bit bedraggled because not only has she sat on a shelf in my bedroom for more than 20 years, but I have a 3-year-old nephew now, and he likes to, play with her and some of my sister's old action men. And so yeah, she's been through it. But I definitely would class Barbie as one of my favourite toys from my childhood. Also, I had a Ken Glow Dream.
We use special fabric for TV.
Now, Ken Glow Dream was special because he had this like waistcoat, which if I remember correctly had stars on it. And if you left him under a light for long enough and then turned all the lights off, those stars would glow. Now, I loved Ken Glow Dream, and I was a very heteronormative child, and I would marry Ken to Barbie and they would be very happy and I would mash them together. But I've mentioned that my sister had a habit of throwing my dolls out of the window. She also would occasionally throw my Kens about, and Ken Glow Dream got lost. I knew exactly where he was. It wasn't a case of getting lost as in, where is he? It was a case of, she flung him and he landed on the roof of our garage. Now, if memory serves me correctly, this happened in the winter. It would have been either December or very, very early January. I know this because I kept thinking I'll get a ladder or something, or Dad will get a ladder and we'll rescue Ken from the roof. Now, I should point out, I was by this point too old to be playing with a Ken doll. And it wasn't so much that I did play with him anymore. I think by this point I was 14 and my sister would have been about 10. So she was still in prime playing with her action men age. And so it was part of her play, and I was a teenager and I just was very precious about my old toys staying nice. And so I wanted him back, and I kept sort of being like, oh, we need to get Ken down from the roof. But then we moved house, and we'd had wintry weather, so there hadn't been the opportunity to rescue him. And to the best of my knowledge, to this day, Ken Glowdream might still be on that garage roof. All I have left of him, and this is genuinely serious, is his jacket. But Barbies and Kens were not the only toys I played with as a kid. My very first favourite toy was a rag doll. Now, I don't think I have this rag doll anymore, and again, like my Barbies, if I do, it's probably in the loft. One day I'll do a video where I go into the loft, but I'm kind of scared of going into the loft, so you'll be waiting a while. Anyway, I was born in the early 80s, and rag dolls were really popular back then, and you know, that time period might explain why I named my rag doll Boy George. As a 2-year-old, as I think I was when I got this rag doll, I was obsessed with the song Karma Chameleon. I used to sing it constantly. My mum would be like, you'd toddle around the house like, Karma, 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 Chameleon. It's still a song I really like now. And yeah, I loved my little rag doll, Boy George. As I got older, I got into dolls. Now, I was one of those annoying kids who, when you said to me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd be like, a mummy. And no, I didn't mean like one of those. I was very determined that that was something I was going to do with my life. I was going to have my own babies. And so one of my absolute favourite things when I was younger, and I'm talking now probably, I would have been about 9 or 10. I had this doll. Now, if you remember the name of these dolls, please comment below, because I can't for the life of me remember what they were called. But they came with like this envelope-y thing that you had to put into water, and the envelope melted and it came up with this like certificate that told you whether your baby was a boy or a girl. And it had a little heart on its cheek, and when you kissed the heart, it turned into a star. But one of my favourite toys from childhood is something I still have now and will never ever get rid of, because when I was a day old, my mum's brother, my uncle Andrew, bought me a little pink cuddly dog. I adore that. I gave it the very unimaginative name of Pinky, and Pinky now lives on my bookshelf in my bedroom next to my Sad Sam, which was also one of my favourite toys. This little fella has been with me practically since birth and always will be. And then Sad Sam, because, you know, I can't remember the name of Sad Sam's like female counterpart. She was grey with a little pink bow on one side of her head. I just can't remember what she was called. I'm so old my memory is going. Speaking of cuddly toys that I have had from a very young age, meet Trixie. Trixie is a teddy bear. I mean, that was really obvious. I don't really know why I told you that. Soz. She has a little wind-up thing here, and unfortunately it is broken. But she used to, if you wound it up, play Teddy Bear's Picnic. Again, it kind of doesn't matter how old she is, I just can't quite bring myself to get rid of her. There were lots of other things that I was obsessed with as a child. I mean, we haven't even covered Polly Pocket or the iconic fashion wheel. And of course, the Play-Doh factory.
Squish it out, squeeze it through, shape it up, it's easy to do. Fun factory!
had a Play-Doh factory and I was completely obsessed with it. I would play with that thing for hours. The final thing that I was really obsessed with though as a child is kind of, I hesitate to call it a toy, but for the purpose of this video, that's what I'm gonna say it is. It was marbles, guys. I was so into marbles. I was around at a time when playing marbles in the school playground was like super duper popular as an activity, and I was also growing up really obsessed with the film The Care Bears Movie 2. In that film there is a character who is the Camp Marble Champ, and that just, you know, increased my love of these little round spheres. And yeah, this one's not even round because I've had it for so many years, it's just, you know, lost chunks of itself. But these two are marbles that I have had since I was probably about 8 or 9. I've lost a lot of the marbles I had. Some of them I still have, but I've lost quite a few of them over the years. I've always had a very vivid imagination, and I used to invent stories for the marbles. I made them sentient. Yes, I'm weird. They had a backstory. It was like, oh, the China marbles. They have had battles with the glass marbles in the past, but now they're all friends. This marble is a special marble and he holds the magical secrets to everything. If you have a problem, go to this marble. Look, I said I'm strange. As an adult, I went through a brief phase of going to Nuki and going to the arcades with my friends, and they used to give out marbles as prizes if you won a lot of like the tokens from the machines. And my goal in life became to fill this jar with marbles. And then lockdown happened and I have not been back to try and win me some marbles since. But one day I will fill this. Sounds weirdly like a threat. What were your favourite toys to play with as a kid? Let me know in the comments. If you've also been to see the Barbie film and you thought it was fabulous, let me know that in the comments as well. Let's just chat about how brilliant it was. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. You can click on my floaty head if you would like to subscribe, and last week's video is over there. I have got such an urge to just go and play with some toys that I'm going to end this video here. I'll talk to you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.